she is. Okay. Welcome to episode 14 of Living Out Loud, the podcast for domestic abuse, violence, and abuse survivors and victims and their families, support systems, anybody who wants to listen. This is part 2. We're coming back, we're revisiting. We've got Kel back with us. We wanted to continue this conversation because it was definitely far from over. And nothing really to report. Like I said, Katie, no headlines. And I'll tell you why. Everything in the news right now is the friggin' debate. That's the whole news cycle. The debate. It's coming tomorrow night. And I was like, okay, enough of that. But one thing I didn't mention, this is Buffalo specific. So Kelli can get on this one. We should have mentioned this last week. The Old Pink burned down.
I heard. And I saw. Man. That's so sad.
It was really sad.
Flamingo has left us on Allen Street.
Sad.
I did want to share. Yeah, go ahead, Helen. I'm totally
no, not at all. But I said to my mother the other day, because my mother's the first person who told me. And then, of course, it like rapid fire texts from people. And like, I already bought a t-shirt, and only in Buffalo do we mourn the death of a bar. Like it was a friend.
That should be on the t-shirt. Well, it was a community. And let me share that with being a musician and being gay in Buffalo. I mean, so when I first moved back here, now in California, the gay bars were, I mean, literally like you'd go into the Palms in West Hollywood and Johnny Depp was sitting there in River Phoenix because it was posh to hang with the lesbos, so that was, So,
all right,
right. But then I show up here and literally the bars are still disguised as houses because it's still so dangerous. And so for me, it was a real culture shock. I had just come out back in California and then I moved here. I'm like, oh, we need to shut this down, right? So the only other bars that were open to you being openly gay were the alternative bars. So you had the Pink, which became the Old Pink because of something else, Nietzsche's, the Continental, places that would, So all the places that we, as musicians, played at as well, but they also didn't give a goddamn what your sexuality was, what your gender was, what your political beliefs were, what your, so for, for us as musicians and as a gay musician, coming up in that era in Buffalo, a safe place got lost for a lot of us, and it's weird now. They don't even have gay bars anymore, which is weird too. But that whole transition and having that, there's a big mourning piece when you lose, and of course this has been our theme, when you lose safe places, right? Yeah, and I think it was that for so many people.
And that's why people celebrated or mourned, but like literally trooped down there. I mean,
there was a memorial. People, and people got bricks and stuff.
My neighbor Brian, Heidi's Brian, he got a couple of bricks, and I think he also got a piece of bathroom tile.
Oh Lord, no, I'm not getting into what I did in that bathroom.
It was like a free for all. No, but like,
and it's one of those concepts where I'm like, of course I'm taking the COVID shot. I did things in the Pink bathroom, so I'm good.
Well, so that really, I mean, that's a very city specific headline, and a lot of people won't understand that. But like you said, the Old Pink, and going along the lines of living out loud, and going along the lines of honoring yourself and loving yourself, and
places that celebrated that, the places that celebrated that. I mean, all people could come together. Yeah.
And that's why people were, and when they interviewed people afterwards, and there was a lot of footage and everything, that's what people were saying. This was a place I could be myself.
Yeah.
This was a place where I felt like I could be myself. And so that does go along the lines of living out loud.
There's plenty of people that would go there for safe haven. Yeah.
Yeah, and absolutely. Those sandwiches that they made on the grill behind the bar.
Oh, the steak sandwiches.
The steak sandwiches.
They were unreal. And they tasted, they were the same.
Man, even if she rebuilds, I don't know.
I thought
I'll
I
be right
heard that
back.
they were
I can
going
hear
to.
you. They are gonna
Dogs.
well, they're talking. Yeah,
Dogs.
they're you can still hear me.
Dogs.
Dogs.
I got a
She's got
dog.
two bulldogs that are like door stops that
I know.
I've got a German Shepherd who probably is going to eat the couch like any moment now. Oh my God.
I got
No,
one
but
here.
what did you say, Kelly? You heard something? You heard something
I
about
thought I
them
heard that they
rebuilding?
were going to rebuild.
Might.
I don't know.
That's what I
But
heard.
anyway, just to keep on track. So
Yes. So that was
that was
there
the
you go.
headline news, very local
Very
yep.
local. Anybody who wants to really know about that from outside of Buffalo, Google Old Pink. Old
It's
Pink
already
Flamingo.
national
Sorry.
news.
Old Pink.
It's
It's a
interesting.
historical landmark. It was a historical
Yeah.
landmark. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well,
Did you
what?
know? Did
It
you
was
know?
a historical.
It's a historical landmark.
God damn it. That's what part of the
Historical
problem
landmark.
was. It burnt down and it had historical
No.
landmark status. All right, Katie.
Okay.
Hit it.
Reeling it back in. Okay.
Reeling
All
it
right,
back
Cal.
in.
So
Old Pink needed its time. Come on.
So
Okay.
the idea, first of all, the idea that you stuck in there for so long. And the idea there was this journey of multiple dysfunctions, addiction kind of being the underlying issue throughout.
Yeah.
So we talked about that moment where you saw his phone and you saw the friend say, who was a friend of yours as well, who clearly was not disclosing to you what was going on. So hence double betrayal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you take us from that moment when you saw that text that, when am I going to meet the new girlfriend text? Yeah.
Yeah, that was the
If you're
turning point.
comfortable, if you want to.
Of course. Yeah, that was the turning point. That was okay. After all of this stuff that I've been through, after all of this stuff that I put up with, now you're gonna do that. Like, why am I even here? And so I think I started talking about this a little bit. I started gathering up my information, started gathering up,
doing some serious research.
Messages.
Yeah.
Did some investigation, gathered all this stuff up, got the bank statements together, got his old pay stubs that he was hiding from me because there was certain money that he would get that would be in a check, but it wouldn't go into the account. So I gathered all those up and I just started, looking through his things and would find more and more stuff. The more I looked, the more I found.
Yeah.
And
I like
so
to call that warrior mode or prepping for warriorism mode. Yeah.
Yeah. So I then, went and met with an attorney and didn't even tell him I knew anything. Didn't tell him I knew what was going on. I just met with an attorney and got all the information I needed. She told me, well, you can try to work something out or you can go to court. And, I said, well, I'd like to work something out rather than dragging this to court or whatever. So I went to him after I gathered all my information and I said, I just want to let you know, I know what's going on. And he was like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, come on, we're not playing this game anymore. I'm like, I know what's going on with this girl. Oh, I was just talking to her. We're not doing anything. I'm like, doesn't matter. At this point, it doesn't matter. No. And so I said, here's what we're going to do. I said, I can't do this anymore. I went and talked to a lawyer and we can either do this nicely or we can fight about it, but I'd rather do it nicely. And he's like, yeah, me too. Me too.
Why am I not believing that response?
Yeah, me too. Let's do
this as smoothly as possible.
Yeah.
I want to make one. I do want to make one point, and this might be something, and this is just informational for anybody who might be listening that wants to get out of a situation or wants to take some steps, right?
Yeah.
Be very mindful of the fact that when you said you went to an attorney and you didn't tell him, I'm going to say, don't ever tell them, because if you go to an attorney and you consult with them, but you don't retain them, if your spouse goes to the same attorney that attorney cannot take their case because it's a conflict of interest. So if your spouse knows, oh, if you say, you know, for whatever reason, oh, just so you know, on Thursday, I've got an appointment with so-and-so, and I'm going to get this rolling. If they go there before you and they give their side, and then you go there, that attorney cannot, you cannot retain them.
That's,
Even
oh,
if your
I
spouse
mean, it makes
didn't
sense.
retain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I've heard
they
that
ran, it's
before,
first
too.
come, first serve. So if they
Yeah.
ran
So
over there, I hear you.
basically, it is kind of, I don't care if it's called secretive, I don't care what. If you make the decision to go retain an attorney, consult with an attorney, the person that you want to divorce does not need to know your movements.
Noted.
Because if you give them that information, and a lot of people don't know this rule. I didn't know it.
Yeah.
They'll use it against you. Okay. I had a
So,
friend
so
who her soon to be ex-husband went to like 10 attorneys
I've
in
heard that.
their town
Just
Is
to-
this the same
block-
person?
to
to
block
roadblock her, to
roadblock her.
Yep.
It was in North Carolina,
Man,
but just to
that should
roadblock
be-
her from retaining someone. So she had to literally like,
Wow.
you
Go
know,
find
had
somebody
to
who he
keep
had
like interviewing
contacted.
people and say, oh, did you talk to so-and-so? They'd be like, yes. She'd be like, okay, thank you very much. And she had to move on to the next
Yeah,
one.
that's crazy.
Just people who are
And that's
listening.
that's a state by state law.
I don't know if it's a law. It's more of like an attorney, like, you know, privilege thing. Like you've
Yeah,
already
okay.
told them something, but you didn't retain them.
Mhm.
They can't take the other they can't.
Makes sense. Kind of like,
Conflict of
nope,
interest.
yeah, understood. All right. So
So
you
that's
went,
just some info.
good info to have.
Good info.
So you went and you shared with him, and he says, yes, I'd like to do this really nice and pleasant. It's going to be so easy, right? So take us
Yeah.
from there.
Always is.
So yeah, so we sat down and we went to dinner by ourselves and we kind of hashed out what we thought, or I hashed out what I thought I should be getting, because that's basically what we were arguing about. Had nothing to do
Yeah.
with anything else because we didn't have anything. So the only thing, you know, I sat down and I showed him, I'm like, I'm going to show this to you. This is the law. This is if we in Florida, if you've been married over a certain amount of time, I was actually entitled to lifetime alimony from him.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
So
must be a
I
Florida
told him
thing
that.
because that's not up here.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
it's a
Well,
Florida
it recently has changed here, but it's still pretty good amount of time. But so I said, you know, I'm willing to not do lifetime alimony, and you know that. So we were going back and forth and negotiating, and you know he finally agreed to like certain amount for a certain amount of years, and I was like, great. He's like, I said I'll have my attorney draw up the papers, and you know you can. I go, highly suggest that you get an attorney too to review these.
And he's like,
Because
no.
yeah, no, he's like, yeah, I'll get an attorney. Yeah, you would think he would be like, no, I don't need. I said, really, I'm telling you to get an attorney to review these because I don't want you to come back at me and say, oh, well, she conned me into this and this and that.
Yeah.
So he, you know, kept asking me, hey, just show your attorney. Did you show your attorney? Nothing, and just kept like dragging on. Until finally, then I was getting mad because I was like, what's going on here? And then finally he was like, yeah, my attorney doesn't want me to agree to those terms. I'm like, so what are we agreeing to then? Well, I don't know. I'm gonna have to talk to him. So then, you know, it just dragged on and dragged on. And finally I was like, I'm done with this. So
Yeah.
my attorney had to file a lawsuit. And
Man.
yeah, and it was just
Jeez.
like,
It didn't have
on.
to be that way, but again, it's
Never
reflective
does.
of his behavior. If he were to all of a sudden have some miraculous epiphany and change his behavior, you might have been like, well, maybe you're a different guy. But no, this is just
Yeah.
reflective of his yeah.
Right.
Well, that's who he is.
So
It's who he is. It's who he was going to be, right? You
100
knew it was going
yeah.
to be like this. You knew it was going
Yes.
to be like this.
Yeah, I tried,
Yeah.
but
You
it
did.
didn't work. Again, like the other, everything else. So, you know, I had my attorney file the papers, he had an attorney, and you know, then here we go with the litigation, you know, and we're, you know, financial disclosure, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, he was ignoring discovery requests and things like that. And it was dragging on. And I'm just like, So we finally go to mediation. We finally see each other for the first time since like we were separated.
Yeah.
And like I felt bad because he actually came out. Well, this, I don't know if it's his attorney went to the mediator and was like, yes, he's got a drug problem. Yes, he's done this. He's done this. Like that was the first time I've ever heard him or somebody else admit it to me.
Oh, you heard it right there in
Yeah.
that moment.
And I was like, oh, so we're going
Oh.
to use this now for sympathy, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not
So-
down on attorneys, okay? I'm not going to get down on attorneys. I'm really not, because frankly, they know that in divorces in most states, it comes down to money and kids, money and kids, money and
Yeah, it
kids.
does,
Okay.
for sure.
That's what it comes down to. They are not there to hold your hand. They are not there to pat your back. They're not there to, they're not crying on their shoulder. Okay. They know how this goes. They do it day in and day out. But at the same time, they will, if they can, use something. Okay. So, like them saying, well, he acknowledges he has a problem. Well, come on, man. Like he's had one for years. Don't act like now.
Yeah, but
like
that's
this
the
drug
desperation of their
problem,
they've got nothing, to
just
throw in the
and
pool
like,
to help
don't
him
act
out.
like his drug problem is now, you know, prohibiting him from, continuing with this divorce in a clear mind.
Yeah,
Stop. Okay. It's money and
Yeah.
kids. It's money and kids.
it's money and kids. Okay,
Money and
as we're
kids.
developing our merch, money and kids. We need money and kids merch. We talked
Go to
about
the-
smelling
I'll
the
go to the t-shirt
smelling the
guy.
melons, smelling the melons.
Uh-oh. Oh,
The
okay.
heck?
As you disappeared, you also texted me, which was kind of funny. My
Your
internet just
you
went
know
out.
what? Because your Wi-Fi just came in, Cal. I got it. I got the same text. That's how long your Wi-Fi took to catch up. The old
Yeah. So I don't know. Our power went out earlier. So I don't know if the internet's going in and out or something like that, but
well, I got this text.
so
I was
sorry,
just
Ellen, I
like,
missed your ending there about attorneys and
No, so I was just saying, like, the attorneys know it comes down to money and kids, right? They know that money, property, assets, kids, when you were talking about, for anybody who's listening, who hasn't gone through this, the very first thing they want you to do is a financial affidavit, right?
Yep.
And you've got to disclose everything, your assets, your liabilities, like anything you might be hiding, which sometimes happens.
whether you get your nails done, how much you spend on makeup.
yeah,
Booze, going out,
yeah, I do.
So they want to know it's a very invasive process, and you actually
is.
shouldn't be turned off by that because it's invasive for both sides.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're trying to get down to where you can come to
Wow, this is
an
good
agreement.
info for me to hear. I don't know about this. So they
Yeah,
take it
financial
down to that
affidavits?
level, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Marital
know they
assets,
exist. I
marital
didn't
debt.
know they took it
Mhm.
down to that level.
They want you to estimate everything, right? So like his attorney saying like, well, he's got a drug problem. Okay, well, how much does he spend on that a month? Was that
Exactly.
disclosed? Did that
Well, the
get
biggest
disclosed?
slap in my face during the disclosure of assets
Yeah, go.
or liabilities, so it's assets and liabilities, was his rent that he was paying $1,800 a month for while he was living with
Oh,
his and she produced a lease.
Well, good for her.
Yeah, like she signed a lease saying that he pays $1,800 a month to live there. I'm like,
so how long did he have that while you guys were together? Do you know?
have what?
So the lease, so they got a place together after
No, it was her house that he moved
it
into.
was. So then she,
Oh,
I
good. She made him
see.
sign a lease. She's not
Oh,
stupid. Good for
and
her.
then, but then
It was
they
a fake
used
lease,
that
Ellen. It
because
was so
it's a
fake.
fake. Yeah, and
Oh.
so he was not paying.
Just
So he
saying,
was
she
like,
followed the
"This
proper
is."
channels, right?
Yeah. So he's like, "This is where my other $2,000 a month goes."
Yeah. Exactly.
Holy
Oh, I pay
crap.
$1,800 a month for rent, and I pay, and I'm like, oh, okay, buddy, you are
Yeah,
not
sure
paying
you do.
$1,800 a month for rent.
So after,
Not in money anyway. Let's be
only,
real. We're all adults here. Okay, everyone, just calm down.
That's right. Calm down, everyone.
Calm down, everybody. Don't get your
what are
panties
they?
in a bunch.
Calm down. I see it. It's calm down.
Fuck's
Just
sake.
get it under control. All right.
I have a
So
question, but
my-
I'll wait.
I
do
hear
have a question, but
thunderstorms coming, just so you know.
Oh,
we
we
already
have
had
some
one.
happening too.
We won't hear
Go
it.
ahead,
You can
Ellen.
you never hear anything. Okay, I just had
You
one
can't-
question because I'm stunned that this actually worked, but maybe obviously your situations. So mediation was agreed upon for you
Mhm.
because you know there's 3 different stages of divorce. There's mediation, right? Which means you two meet with the mediator, neither has an attorney at the table with you. But then there is, well, this is in New York. And then there's the next one where you meet with a mediator and you both have an attorney.
Yeah, that's what
And then
we
there's
have.
the next stage, which I was in, where you both have an attorney and you go, but you go to matrimonial court and there's no mediator. And that usually ends in trial.
Yeah.
So you got a mediator, which is
Yeah.
actually
So I think I'm just
A-okay.
not to, because I don't want us to run out of time, but I think this because I'm learning so much that maybe we should have
part 3.
an episode well, an episode about the process of divorce and the best avenues to take when you're in a scenario like this. Because
Yeah.
you can easily be taken advantage of because you're still in a compromised mindset, for Kelli, for you to hear the first time he's got a drug problem, you're like, I've been waiting for that for years. And you're going to
Yeah.
say it now?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And use it as
Anyway,
like play the sympathy card.
collateral,
Like,
use it is for
you know,
sure.
this guy's
Yeah.
got, yes, he has a drug problem. He's had a drug problem for a while. He's been trying to get over it, all this stuff. And I'm like, really?
Boy, yeah, I could
Yeah,
go
I
down
tried.
there.
Now we're
I tried
gonna
to
hear
help him
this?
with that. Remember?
Yeah. He faked his he
Yeah.
faked his whole
Faked his
kick in the
withdrawal
habit
symptoms.
thing. You're like should I write that down and just hand it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Cal, you started mediation.
Yes.
You both came to the table.
Yeah.
You both were trying to disclose, hopefully. I mean, the fact that he disclosed the fake lease with the girlfriend would actually give me a little bit of fucking hope.
Well, he
because
didn't
wasn't trying to
disclose that
hide.
it was fake. He was presenting it as if it was a lease. He was just lying to the court.
But
Yeah, he was trying to
somewhat
say
honest.
he was trying to say that he's paying $1,800 a month in rent.
And that's
when-
part of his expenses.
I see what you're
to get-
saying. Yeah,
to
I
get
see.
less
So
for
that makes
Kelly.
that makes what he has as disposable income less,
Got you.
So and then also in the just before our mediation, he switched jobs.
Never supposed to
and-
change jobs during a divorce. You're never supposed to fucking change jobs.
This new
Never.
job, he was making about half the amount he was making at the last job.
Yeah.
Of course he was.
Mhm.
Sorry, y'all.
And
Ellen, you're fired up.
I am because
I
this
feel
is
it,
what
but
people
let me
do.
hear. I know,
Yeah.
but I need to hear what Kelly's saying. You're feeling it. I know it. I love it. Feeling it. Okay, so he
Shutting up.
changed jobs, which he should have
Changed
never
job.
done.
making half the amount of money he was making at his other job, showing that he's paying $1,800 a month rent. So now I talked to my lawyer and I'm like, how can he do that? Well, we can only go by what is now. We can't go by what was past. We can only go by what's now. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me right now.
Yeah,
I'm like, so he's gonna have this job until we're divorced
for
because,
sure.
and so anyways, we ended up compromising. I ended up getting alimony for half the length of our marriage. So, I get alimony. One of the things I put into our court order was that he is to have it taken directly out of his paycheck
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
otherwise I
you
would
have
never,
to.
I would never see it. Just like
Yeah.
I never saw money
Yeah.
for the bills,
Yeah, you knew
So,
that. Yeah,
Yeah. So, but since then he's changed jobs about 5 or 6 different times. And so-
shocker.
So every time he changes jobs, I have to send a new order out, this and that, it's like prolonging it. And so I'm still dealing with it. I'm still dealing with it.
Well, you both are.
Literally
You're
like
both.
2 days ago, I had to text him because he's got a new job. And so I sent the order and then this was 2 months ago, and they're supposed to give you the money within X amount of time. And so I kept asking him, did they take the money out of your check? I just want to make sure, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, then he doesn't answer me. And like, so I'm still dealing with it. It's crazy. I'm still
And
under his.
Yeah,
I
go
want
on.
to, I just want to make a point for anybody who's listening and anybody who might be skeptical or jaded or, thinking whatever about three women talking about this. This is not a money grab. Okay. Like
No.
people need to understand that when there are relationships, there's a certain amount of time. I think in New York State, it's 15 years or over.
This is
And
the
they
educational piece that I think that's important. Yeah.
It's a formula.
I'm just gonna run to the bathroom. Keep talking, ladies.
Okay.
I'm gonna mute myself so you don't.
Oh, I like the constellation. It's a formula. And when people dissolve a relationship that was heavily entangled and that involved a child, okay, there are certain statutes, there are certain ramifications, there are like I said, it's a formula. Okay. So if people are listening to this going like, oh God, she's money grabbing. Oh God, she's bitching about him making less money. No, you don't understand. This is what happens. Okay. And it has changed over the years because if you look at it historically, lots of times women were stay-at-home moms, 50s, 60s, 70s, now, right? Trad wives are coming back. They're stay-at-home moms, so the choice is they stay home, they take care of the kids so that he can further his career, or vice versa, okay? Or vice versa.
Yep.
When there's a dissolution of a marriage, and like I said, it comes down to money and kids. When there's a dissolution of a marriage and there's an imbalance financially, the person who is imbalanced by this situation happening is supposed to be kept at the same level that they had when they were in union. Okay. And that can be man or woman.
Yeah.
So
no, I don't think it's money grab stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. People get hyped up by this shit and say like, oh, she's getting fat and happy on the money I'm sending her. No, that's not what it is.
No,
It
I mean,
is, ask any attorney, look at the law, man. It's they're in every state. And so Kel, doing what she's doing, like when Brian went and purposely got a job that paid
less.
That was a tactic, people.
Well,
but
we know we talked about, but
yeah,
Ellen, you
you have
talked
to
about
actually give
you
3 years of
categorized
3 years of pay
the
stubs,
abuse
usually,
right? But you categorize the abuse partially as being financial abuse, which just just continues with this. So Kel, I mean that part you're still dealing with like on the daily.
Yeah.
So when
I don't have anything, I have nothing in that, nothing.
So
nothing
when you
nothing
truly were able to separate yourself, and so you begin your new life without him, and how many years? Because you guys, 18 years or something?
We were married for 18 years. Yeah.
18 years. So how many years post relationship did it take for you to start to regain? Because what happens, as we know, is you second guess yourself, right? Because this person tells you these lies and you're like, well, maybe that's the truth. I don't know. Right. And so then your instincts get whacked and your insight gets whacked, even though all those things were working properly, they were invalidated. So how many years did it take you to kind of unravel that many years of manipulation? I mean, maybe it's still happening.
Yeah, not really as much, but when, we were separated in 2015.
Yeah.
And then we didn't get divorced until October of 2016. So it was a good, like I said, year and a half of going back and forth. It wasn't until I actually, like, I was bitter because we didn't have any assets. Like, that's what, Ellen was saying. It's not a money grab.
Nothing. Yeah.
Normally, when you're married, you have assets
No,
that you can
you were in
split.
debt.
Somebody can keep
You-
the house and somebody can pay the other one off. And I
Yeah.
had nothing. I had
Yeah.
nothing. I had to
You
live.
had negative. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I had to get a credit card with my 500 something credit score for $300 credit limit in order to live. You know, so I had to start all over again.
Ugh.
So I was bitter for a long time. Then when the alimony started coming in regularly and I was able to work, full time and get myself together, that's when I was like, whoa, this is what I could have been doing this whole time.
Oh.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
I can pay my bills. I can live, without worrying about stuff. Like, this is
Yeah.
fantastic,
Very
and
empowering.
so,
It's like super
yes,
empowering. It is.
it
It
was,
makes you feel like really good.
yeah. And
Yeah.
also, hey, guess what? It wasn't me. Because
Yeah.
if it was
That,
me,
oh boy. I
you
think
know what I mean?
that the realization of that it wasn't me,
Yeah.
that realization on a large level, whether it's financial, whatever the dynamic is, no, it wasn't you. And you know what? Just statistically, if you have financial issues for 18, 19 years, 20 years, it can't always be a deficit on your part. Like the numbers don't line up, you know?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
they
And
don't.
then I think to myself, well, wait, I'm not, I'm making X amount of money with my job and alimony on top of that. And it's still a third of what we had when we were together. So the fact that I'm able to live on this and enjoy my life and be able to do things without, not really sacrificing, just being able to live like normal was just like, I can't believe that
Yeah.
what we could have had,
Right.
you know?
Oh, that realization. And whether
Yeah.
it's financial or emotional or no, it's oh my God, that what we could have had when you walk away and you go,
Yeah.
holy crap, you chose that dysfunction because it could have
Right.
been. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So now it's just like, yeah, it is. I feel so good. Like that I don't have to ask somebody that I don't, I know how much money I have. I don't have to worry about putting gas in my car anymore. I don't have to worry about the electricity getting shut off. I don't have to worry about any of that. And it's such a burden off my shoulders. It's like just that whole, I never realized how bad it was,
Yeah.
And
and
that, okay, so that, just not having that fear, right?
Right.
And also knowing that you're doing it yourself. Now, let me ask you a question. Would you ever, knowing what you know and being through what you've been through, commingle your shit with somebody else?
no.
Exactly.
When you say, yeah, like bank accounts,
Your
and stuff,
finances, even
no.
get married again. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, even if it came down to that, then, I think I would still, you know, I would still keep things separated because especially at this time especially at this time in our lives, like I've
Yeah.
done things on my own to have what I have. You know what I mean? And like I have
For
my
sure.
income that I have. It's okay to share, but like I think keeping things separate would be,
Well, I think it's
I,
also okay to keep things separate. I mean,
yeah,
not because we want to um live our lives on some level of distrust. That's not
right,
what I'm
right,
saying.
exactly.
no,
What I'm
not at
saying
all.
is it's almost just smarter, easier, okay, to not create this tangle where there doesn't have to be one.
Right.
Yeah.
That might
Yeah.
have to be
And more
disentangled
often than
at some
not,
point.
you do in partnerships, you often have people that are more adept, sorry, in financial dynamics than the other, and so
Yeah.
it's just this concept. So we're going back to, I mean, decades of this concept where you have to mesh your funds. I mean, it used to be, you had your your male provider who was the provider. And so then there were no other funds. And then your wife did part-time work. So you messed that whole concept is very archaic.
Yeah.
And I think the alternatives are so important. And, it was really interesting because, Liz and I were together, oh my goodness, 10 years before gay marriage passed. And,
Woohoo!
we were already married, but what we essentially really wanted was at that time, my stepdaughter, Liz's ex was the adopted other mother of M, but if we got married, then I had rights too. And if we got married, Liz was automatically, had rights to Jack and all. So we did that. But being so naive to that, little did we know that when it all came in, the financial stuff, it was like, boy, I wish we could have kept our financial stuff separate because that didn't serve us well. It served us well with our children. But those dynamics, they can be tricky, and even on a good day, they can be tricky on a good day.
Yeah.
So to keep things separate, whether it's an emotional component or a logistical component, not a bad thing, but I think people need to shake that out, do what feels comfortable and not necessarily.
Exactly.
It's not being
honestly,
cynical. It's not being anti-relationship. What it is it's being smart.
Yeah.
At least that's how I feel about it. And that's not because, if I was ever to get involved with anybody ever again, and I say this all the time, and my sister says it as well. I'm all into getting involved with someone, but I'm not buying anything with you. You're not moving in
It's okay.
here. You're not and that's, hey,
it's okay.
don't
It
have
doesn't
to be the
equivalate.
benchmarks. Right.
So here's
Those
the
are
thing.
not
I
the
think
benchmarks of a
no,
relationship.
and
It doesn't have to be that.
I think that we just
Doesn't be
need
that.
to now, is it practical or is it based on fear? And those are the two different things. I
right.
think both of your dynamics are based in practicality. It makes sense. And a little bit of wisdom, but it doesn't do anybody any harm.
Just protect
it's fine.
yourself.
Yeah.
This is what's so interesting. Kelli, when you talked about your situation in the first episode, and you were talking about the money thing and the gambling and the drugs and this, and we didn't get to the divorce part yet. And I was like, what kind of shit show is this going to be? Because like I said, money and kids, right?
Yeah.
And it always turns into something because someone's trying to hide something because they don't want to give anything up. And they don't want to pay someone, or they're bitter, they're pissed because, in a divorce, there's always one person that wants it more than the other. Rarely are two people meeting in a mediators and saying, yeah, this is totally amicable. We're down. After we sign these papers, we're going to have a drink together with our kids.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't happen. And so I went through my whole thing quickly, went through we filed for divorce, or I did in 2017. It took 2.5 years with nothing to fight over. And a year after it was finalized, he declared bankruptcy.
Of course he did.
And 2 months after he declared bankruptcy, 2 months after he declared bankruptcy, he moved in with his girlfriend who bought a house 5 blocks away. Please play. Can you go?
So Kelli, when
I'm surprised that yours didn't declare bankruptcy.
I'm surprised too, actually.
Let's not put that energy into the universe. Let's just.
I'm just saying.
Kelli,
sometimes it seems like a practical thing.
Maybe
so
ego.
Other than right, which will come into effect. So Kelli, other than this amazing lift of your financial freedom, what do you feel like that you gained back that you didn't even realize you had sacrificed once you were out of that?
Ooh, I don't know, because I think it was so long. Like I was so young when we first got together, and we were together for so long
For sure.
that I don't even know what I missed. You know what I mean? Like, I think
Yeah.
I don't know, other than what I have now. Now I can go back and look and say, wow, it could have been so different. You know, things could have been so different if A, he had listened to me about finances, and
Yeah.
or B, didn't have the problems and keep lying to me. Um, and we went back and forth so many times about money. Like, I don't know if I told you, like, but one time he'd be like, oh, I go, you know what? You pay the bills because I can't, if I, you're spending money and I can't pay the bills. So you pay the bills, you handle it. Then he would do it. Then he wouldn't be able to handle it. So then I would take it back over again, and then it was like, it was just back and forth constantly, back and forth,
Yeah, because
back and forth.
partially you were babies, so it was the
Yeah.
process when you first got together. Yeah.
And then,
And it's
I
almost,
was just
yeah.
always meant to feel bad. Like if I questioned about money, it was like, oh, don't you understand? I'm working so hard. And, can you just handle this for me? Like we get,
Yeah.
we lost our house to foreclosure then we had to rent. Then we rented this house. And this is right before, like, as we were going through the divorce, the landlords came to me, called me and was like, when are you guys going to give me the rest of this rent? And I said, I'll tell you what, I'll meet you. I'll give you everything I have. And then from here on out, you're going to have to deal with him. And so I went to the bank. I took every single penny out of our bank account. I handed it to the landlord. I said, you're going to have to contact him and get the rest of the money from him. I basically was like, I'm done. Can't do this anymore. Because he would have me, can you call them? Can you tell them? Can you do this? Can you do that? Oh, can you just handle this for me? And I would like try to protect him or us, and now I'm like, you know, but
Kel,
yeah,
your innate natural inclination is to protect. It's just known you
yeah,
for many years. It's just who you are. So when someone keeps showing you their belly, you're like, I can't do it. I can't do it. You're like, okay, gotcha. And the problem is,
exactly.
this is the reoccurring theme in these kind of relationships is, these folks scoop up the folks that have that innate nurturing nature, that are willing to be self-reflective and think about, maybe I thought it wrong, maybe I did it wrong, maybe I could have approached this differently. And those are the good people. Bad people are the ones that come in and go, look, you're a good person. I'm going to throw all this stuff at you because I think you're
Yeah.
going to. And I want to clarify, there is a misconception where people in circumstances that you've been in and Ellen has been in, and that you make excuses. And I would like to change that perception. It's not that you make excuses. It's not. It's that you always see the potential that's there. If they were just like literally horrible people, none of us would have been caught up in it. We've been like, oh, wow, you're weird. I gotta go. But this little burning potential that's always there, and it's a gift and it's a curse to be able to see those things.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make you being a person who makes excuses or anything like that. And I think, Kelli, you had talked about how you had put up this kind of agreed to the wall of presentation, the beautiful house and all of those things.
Mhm.
And because you want to support the fact that, oh, this is happening, and you know what, you did this, and isn't that awesome, and you're going to be able to back this up. And I don't feel it's excuse, just so you know. I do feel it's the ability to see potential in people, and then the gift is to be able to walk away when you see their potential is not being leaned into. Yeah, go ahead.
Do people like this know that they're doing it? Because I feel like that they really have no clue. Like I know you were mentioning, like, they find, and Ellen, like, they find their host and they latch onto it for as long as they can. Do they realize that they're actually doing that?
Yeah, I think that's another. Hold on.
I don't think it's conscious. I think it's like that's a complicated
So
situation, really. Because maybe some do, maybe some don't. Maybe
Yeah.
it's overt, maybe it's,
Because I just
unknown.
can't imagine somebody like actually.
So clinically, let me break it down
You
for
would
you.
never
Yeah.
do that, Kyle. That's why, because you would
I
never do,
know.
right? Like,
Yeah.
So it's hard
like,
to.
don't look for yourself in
somebody-
others, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. So people who have never eaten meat their entire life and they come around people who eat meat, they're like, I don't even know what's happening. I'm going to try to negotiate this weirdness, but so that's kind of like you with his behavior, where you're like, it's not even in my register. I can't even like wrap my head around that. So your question was, do they do it intentionally?
Or do they know that they're doing it? Like, do they
know?
realize
So
it? Yeah.
yeah.
That's a
So
hard
let me
question to
break this
answer.
down for you.
Right?
So
Yeah.
profound dysfunctional behavior and your ex's behavior is wrapped up in addiction and personality disorders. So, and I had shared this with Ellen, that back in the day before they changed the DSM, which is the Diagnostic Statistic Manual for mental health stuff, we used to have a couple things. They used to lay it out with like kind of organic, true mental illness like psychosis and that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. And then there was a second tier, which was called personality disorder stuff. And personality disorder stuff is more based in learned bad behavior, right? So I would qualify him as having personality disorder with it's called co-occurring, where they have other stuff, which is with substance abuse and addictive behavior, right? So
Mhm.
what happens is, and you've shared a little bit about his family, when you raise children to be completely catered to, but at the same time, that's a very long episode, but so what you've shared with me in regard to his upbringing aligns with that. So he's used to getting what he wants, right? And so when he doesn't get what he wants, he has tantrums. He has grown-up tantrums, which his mama or his daddy, I'm gonna send you pills. It's gonna be okay. So you're still
Send you money. I'll give you money to pay for this stuff.
catering to the
Healing
tantrums,
pills.
right?
Yeah, ridiculous.
So when you're little, it's about bad behavior. When you're a teenager, it's about destructive behavior. When you're an adult, it might be about completely self-destructive behavior. But what happens is the longer, just like a physical ailment, right? So you have like a bad back, like I threw my back out. I decided to go
That's
work
an old person injury, Katie. We don't talk about those.
But that's the point, old person injury. So that's the thing, you get an injury or you have a maladaptive behavior at a young age. If it goes untreated, by the time you hit a certain age, it's going to debilitate you, right? Mental health is the same way. So then you start becoming totally invested in your own lies and behavior. So your question being, do they know? It depends on the point when they're doing it. I have found when I'm working with people, there's a crossroads. There's this moment, and I can almost feel it, where you're on the precipice right here, where if you don't join me in healing at this moment, you're going to go off here and you're going to believe your shit. And I don't know if you'll ever come back. And there might have been a moment for him that he had these epiphanies, but he was given so many opportunities to get help and he chose not to. But I do believe, just like a bad back, if you don't treat it, it just gets worse. And then you start lying to yourself and being like, it's just because I pulled the thing and that didn't need money. So I don't know if that
I
answers your
slept the
question.
wrong way. No, but like I want to say that I thought about this earlier today when Kelli was talking last time about, when the gambling came across and you were like, okay, let's get you some help. And then when the drug use came across and you said, okay, let's get you some help.
He had choices. Yeah.
I want to say that she was there to support and she left no stone unturned with him.
Yeah.
You didn't walk away. You didn't quit on it.
Nope.
You said last episode, okay, this can be fixed. We can fix this when your daughter was only 5, right? You went to the lawyer the first time.
Yep.
So Kelli, you left no stone
Stone unturned.
unturned.
Yeah.
You
And
didn't
that's the
walk
best
away,
part.
you didn't quit. You said, you supported and you said, let's figure this out. Let's figure this out. Let's figure this out. And I think that you should be, there's a fucking bug in here. You should be commended for that because some people
For
don't
sure.
do.
Yeah.
So you
And
left.
on top
she
of
left
that,
with
don't
everything she needed to know. She left with
yeah, and
everything.
on top of that, don't beat yourself up for the fact that you kept trying, because for you, and there's a part of me that knows you very well, that if you haven't turned over every stone, my friend, then you won't sleep well. That's
Right.
all.
Yep.
And you did it, and you did it well, and that was a level of dysfunction that you couldn't combat. And it just
Right.
you
Yep.
couldn't.
It's unfortunate, right? Like, so I think we're at our, are we at our?
I know
can
I
you-
have to go. Yeah, I
Final
do.
thoughts, Kelly,
Final thoughts.
Mine
Kelli,
is
what are
just
your
everyone
final
matters.
thoughts?
You matter. Love everyone.
Yes.
You matter.
It-
Like,
We all
Ellen
matter.
loves all the people.
I
Yes.
love all the people. I don't love all the
Love all the
people.
people.
There's some that I really don't like that well, but I
I
love a
know
lot.
it's okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
Kelly, what are
my
your thoughts
friend.
on this experience? How do you feel about it?
Oh, I feel
What are your
like I'm
thoughts on-
so it's I haven't really talked about it to people because it's just been one of those things where I don't want to badmouth him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
And I
and
don't
that's
wanna be-
kind as well. Again,
I know.
kindness.
I know. So I've never really talked about it until just recently, and just with you guys too. And now I'm realizing like I'm not alone,
No,
Oh,
There's-
you are
You are
not
not
alone, my
alone.
friend.
so many people that deal with this. And like the fact that I'm getting a little teary-eyed, the fact that, I finally am able to talk about it and know that there's
Yeah.
other people that are dealing with the same issues just
Yes.
makes me feel not validated, but just makes me feel like, I'm not crazy and I didn't live in this,
No.
crazy situation for nothing,
No.
and you're
Not
not
at all.
alone. And you're
Yeah.
not
You're
alone.
not.
That's the
not.
best thing that literally with the conversations like this, like I said, I think in a previous episode, like I never joined a support group and never did anything, right?
Yeah.
And then I started this group of work that like it's been the best thing for me
Yeah.
to hear people go, oh yeah, I know what you're saying. You don't say another word. I know exactly
Right.
what you're gonna comes on, like what's gonna come out of your mouth. I know exactly what you're gonna say.
And I want
And,
to,
like-
I want to tell you, I want to tell you, Cal, that I have a ton of people that I've reached out to do this, and I've got a ton of people that said they can't. And I commend your bravery. And I, again, do not commend my ignorance that I just posted it without checking with you.
It's okay.
But,
No,
and I know
like
it's
I
okay.
want
No,
people
I
to
know.
know it, but I know
But we got to do it in
backlash.
stages. It's okay. It's okay.
what I
It's
mean?
fine. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Kelly's
It's totally fine.
a limited edition. Kelly's a limited edition.
Kelly's is-
I'm
But
like
this, and so then, you got half of my folks are that they're interviewing. Yes, you're not alone. And what Ellen's drive and I think what your mission was, Ellen, was that exactly that. So people and the universe takes care of things. She lost her co-host, and then all of a sudden I ended up and I got a shit ton. I got a bunch of interviews because I want
She
that.
won't
And I
fucking
believe
shut up now. Like she was all hesitant in the beginning. Now you can't shut her up. Kidding. Totally kidding.
No, that's kind
I
of
love it.
basically how I roll. That's accurate.
No longer 5149. That's 5149. Don't hurt
And-
your back. Don't hurt your back.
No, don't do the back.
Calm down. Calm down. We don't need an injury. I don't
Cal,
have
thank you
insurance.
so much.
No, but I feel like this is what you need. You need people you can talk to,
Yeah.
old friends, the
Yeah.
best,
Yeah. What
somebody
a
you can
gift.
trust. Yeah. And then
It's
somebody
a
who
gift.
either knows what you're talking about or has experienced
All
it.
of it.
It's
Yeah.
it's like it's so, like you said, healing. It's
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
And you know what, Cal, I'm thinking, which is also super cool. If you have more questions clinically,
mhm.
if you just want to chew on this, because this is quite a catharsis, if you want to chew on it and come back on and do like a question about, clinical thoughts on this type of behavior. I've been doing this a long time now. So if you
Yeah.
have questions, we can do that too,
Okay.
and just kind of take a clinical angle and, like I
Because
touched on.
I got plenty of other things going on in my life.
I know you do. Well, I'm doing a subtle little, yes. So I think that would be fun too.
Yeah.
My heart
No,
is so
when
warm with both
Kel-
you guys. Yeah.
When Kelly's here in Buffalo in August,
Yeah.
Yes.
It
I
should
need the
be-
dates.
it should be like not like this.
Oh, we should
3D
do
window
like,
thing. It
oh,
should
we'll do
be,
it together. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my God, for sure.
If I can
Now,
figure out
because
how
I'm
to
always the
fucking
one
do that.
setting the limit, ladies, I'm 5 minutes over. I gotta
Okay.
go.
Is it dinner time?
It is. I gotta do the mommy things. Okay.
You always got to do the mommy things.
I
That's not
do
going
adore
away.
you guys.
Love you
Friggin'
too.
awesome, good stuff. Okay. Mwah. Talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.
Make a good face. I'm going to stop it.